Immediately afterward, Old Key lightly tapped his fingers on the table and said, "Then I'll take a step back. People often come here to sell medicinal herbs obtained from the wilderness area. Sometimes I can't quite determine the value of some strange medicinal herbs either. When that happens, I'll need you to examine and assess them for me. Would that be okay?" After hearing this, I nodded. This condition might seem like I was getting a good deal, but considering his experience and judgment, having me assess the herbs for Old Key would definitely mean that Old Key was the one getting the bigger benefit. All right, then I'll see you next time. I hope you can bring me a surprise. Old Key handed the 3 boxes to me, then turned around and continued sorting the materials. After taking the medicinal herbs, I took a taxi to Yiyun Lake Park. After being reborn, I discovered that Yiyun Lake, for other cultivators, advancing to chi refining might be somewhat difficult, but as someone who had once stood at the peak of the human path, I could naturally make full use of the 3-bead medicine. Advancing to chi refining was virtually guaranteed. There were also many old men sitting by the lake in Yiyun Lake Park, meditating and cultivating. However, in my eyes, what these people called cultivation was nothing more than sitting there and completely relaxing their bodies. It could not be considered cultivation at all. I came to a thick willow tree and sat down. Immediately, several gray-haired old men gathered around me. A few days ago, when I had first started cultivating, these old men had already discovered that being near me could make them feel full of energy. So whenever they saw me, I did not say much and began circulating the 3 lives creation art. The thin spiritual energy around me gathered toward me. The willow branches swayed, as if they had become even greener. The old men around me felt completely comfortable. Their faces became rosy, and they had the illusion that they had become 10 years younger. In the latter half of the night, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse, and almost everyone had left the park. After performing another internal inspection, I felt that I could attempt the breakthrough. I drew a small spirit-seizing formation on the ground, then took out the 3-bead medicinal materials and placed them inside the formation. The spirit-seizing formation emitted a hazy glow. The 3-bead medicinal materials quickly withered, and the spiritual energy within them was extracted without the slightest waste. I absorbed it. At this moment, my mind was completely focused, and I gave my all to break through the barrier. At dawn, a whirlwind suddenly rose around me. I suddenly opened my eyes, stretched my arms, and exhaled a mouthful of stale air. Feeling the long-lost flow of spiritual power, I finally advanced to the first level of chi refining. With this, I could now perform some minor spells, which meant I finally had some ability to protect myself. Back then, I knew nothing about cultivation and stumbled around for more than 100 years before finally finding the right path. This time, I would make sure to perfect every single realm before reaching the absolute peak once again. Xuanji stood up and left. At this moment, several old men who were cultivating came over. "Who drew this diagram on the ground? Interesting." An old man with white hair and a youthful face frowned and studied it for a while. Xuanji sat in the middle of the diagram, and instantly, a powerful surge. "Find out who drew this diagram." After returning home, I changed my clothes before heading to school. After some time, the Ministry of Education would join forces with all the universities to hold the first ever Destiny Cup competition. The first place winner could receive an enormous amount of attention and massive resources. Only those who entered university through the college entrance examination would have the opportunity to participate in the Destiny Cup competition. So I still had to take this college entrance examination and join in the excitement. At this moment, Class 6 of Senior 3 was noisy and lively. My appearance caused the classroom to fall silent for a brief moment. "The cultivation expert from our class is here. The #1 person in the cultivation world has arrived," someone spoke mockingly. However, the expected ridicule did not come. At this moment, the other students were looking at me in surprise. Today, I seemed different from usual. There was an otherworldly feeling about me. Just then, our homeroom teacher, Zhang Hailu, walked into the classroom. He knocked on the desk, told everyone to be quiet, and then began explaining the precautions for this college entrance examination. This time, the joint examination for the 28 high schools in Lan City will take place at examination site number 38. In the wilderness area, killing different levels of mutated beasts will earn different amounts of points. As for F-level and mutated beasts, they are both considered additional. In a moment, everyone will go to the sports field to collect the supplies needed before departure. After saying this, Zhang Hailu turned around and left. "Everyone, maintain order and line up to collect your supplies." At this moment, a dignified voice came from the front of the sports field. It was the school's principal. As an awakened, even without a microphone, his voice carried an impressive sense of authority. The awakened collect from the middle. The mechanics are on the right. The researchers are on the left. As for cultivation, which one of our students chose cultivation? As everyone knew, choosing different paths in the college entrance examination would result in different resources. Apart from the same medicines and dosage bowls, the awakened would receive a cold weapon specially customized by the Ministry of Education. The mechanics would receive a beginner mechanical external supply kit. The researchers would receive beginner thermal weapons. As for the cultivation path, it had never appeared in the college entrance examination before. Even the principal did not know what kind of weapon would be appropriate to provide. After a brief moment of distraction, he smiled. The student who chose cultivation, come over here to collect your supplies. For an ordinary student, such a situation might have been extremely embarrassing, but for me, it did not affect me in the slightest. I calmly walked up the steps. Student, if you have changed your mind now, I can make an exception and allow you to change your choice once, the principal advised. No, I shook my head. The principal was speechless. Why was this kid so stubborn? However, he could not say anything more. Work hard. The principal's expression did not look very good. He glared at the other students who were watching the spectacle. What are you all looking at? Hurry up and collect your supplies. At this moment, a beautiful young girl with long, ice blue hair, a tall figure, and delicate features walked past me. Her eyes shifted as she discreetly sized me up. That's Chi Shui Yao from the elite class. She's the only girl among the heavenly grade awakened in our school. Seeing her this close, she's really beautiful. The boys stared blankly at Chi Shui Yao. 20 minutes later, everyone had collected their resources. Under the principal's command, more than 1,000 examinees marched out of the school in a mighty procession. At this moment, the atmosphere inside the military aircraft was somewhat strange. Many students were nervous and tried to ease their tension by talking to one another. Many of them secretly glanced toward me. She isn't afraid? I heard from the people in Class 6 that she not only failed to awaken, but was also abandoned by her original team. Who would be willing to take along dead weight? These people burst into laughter, as if doing so could make them less nervous. After arriving within the area of examination site number 38, a voice came from the front. We are now 200 meters above the ground. Everyone jumped down. The rear door of the military aircraft opened. The escort personnel gave each person a glider. All the examinees jumped down one after another in teams. The ruins were covered with vines and weeds. Mosquitoes and insects flew everywhere, and the air was filled with a damp smell. Look, who is that? The only cultivator in the entire school. To think that with a 1 in 1,000 chance we actually ran into her. A male student looked surprised. By the way, if mutated beasts appear later, should we help her? A female student asked worriedly. Of course we should. Why wouldn't we? Helping a fellow student during the college entrance examination, then reporting it afterward, can also earn us extra points. A burly man with a broad back and thick waist looked extremely confident. Just as the 5 of them were talking, 3 wolf-like hounds suddenly rushed out from the ruins behind me. Each one was 1 meter tall and 2 meters long. They bared their teeth and looked extremely ferocious. However, I seemed not to have noticed the wolf-like hounds behind me and continued walking forward slowly. She hasn't even awakened, yet she dares to be this careless in the wilderness area? She's practically asking to die. Although the burly man said this, he still tightened his grip on his battle blade, ready to strike at any moment.